Hey, and welcome to a new episode of We Do Disney. If you're new to the channel, I am Sarah.
And I'm Jeff.
And today we're going to be talking about Disney Cruise Line. Especially, we're going to be digging into all the details that you need to know about Disney's Castaway Cay, which is their private island that you can stop at on a Disney cruise. And then also Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point, which is going to be their other island destination. This one is not a full private island, but it is a private area of an island. And we're going to go through a few big topics and then get into these in a bit more detail, but we're going to talk about the convenience getting on and off of the ship into these places, the difference between the beaches in the two locations, the adult areas, the food and bar options and some of the differences there, the theming, the shopping, and lastly, the activities and things you can do.
Yeah, so you want to start with Castaway first?
Yeah, kick us off.
All right, well, first up, I believe you said was convenience. So for me, this kind of just means how convenient is it to get from the ship to the part of the island that you're interested in. And so Castaway is located very, very close to where you dock on the ship. It is unbelievably convenient. You get off the ship, you have maybe a 10-minute walk or so, but it's a beautiful walk. It's shaded at times. It's along the water. You can see the ship and everything, so that's really fun. Or you have a tram, which will take you that 10-minute walk or 2-minute tram ride, and that runs pretty frequently. So for me, just to get to the main part of the island, the family beach, it is incredibly convenient.
Yeah, and if you want to take that tram, it's a very short walk from the ship to the tram.
Yeah.
So if you have any concerns there, it's located very closely at the ship.
Super
We just
easy.
prefer walking, and it's a beautiful walk by the water, so that's usually our go-to.
Yeah, so very, very convenient.
Yeah, so I do think it's very easy to get to that main family area of the beach, so I agree with that. And when it comes to the beach itself, you're going to have a couple options. So the family beach on Castaway is going to be a pretty large family beach. You're actually going to have a bunch of beach, there's then a pier, and then there's even more family beach beyond that. So there's lots of choices to pick from if you are looking as a family to go. There also is a separate beach, which is going to be Serenity Bay, which is the adults only area. I'm not going to talk about that too much right now because we have a whole section after this talking just about the adults area. But when it comes to the beach itself, I'd say there's lots of seats, lots of umbrellas, and it's a pretty nice beach. So it's a very nice, lots of sand. There's lots of water. There's water
Beautiful
slides.
Sand, too,
yeah,
right? And if you're a kid, not available to adults, but if you are a kid, there's also like an obstacle course type of thing, ropes course. You can go out and enjoy that too right there on the beach. But I think the beach is beautiful, plenty of room, easy to get to, large, beautiful sand, beautiful water. It's kind of surrounded by, I don't know, some man-made, not islands, or I don't know, what do you technically call them? Yeah, a barrier. So, the water is very calm and easy to access. So
and
the beach is fantastic.
If you are adult, there are water slides that you can do right in the beach, right off the beach as well into the water. So the play areas,
kids and adults can do the water
slides. But
slides.
Everyone's allowed to go down. There's an enclosed water slide and an open water slide when it comes to playing on the beach. For the adult-only beach, so the adult-only beach is Serenity Bay. In order to get over there, you, I guess in theory, could walk if you wanted to, but most people, I'd say 99% of people, are going to take the shuttle. So I'd say a downside of the adults-only, the Serenity Bay here on Castaway, is that you do have to take the tram over to there, and it is a decent tram ride.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't think you would really probably want to walk it. It's also not that pretty of a walk, but it is, as Sarah said, secluded, which that is a positive, right? It's out there. You're not going to have, if you don't want to be around children, you're not going to accidentally run into one, right? They have to make a point to get there. But that being said, I will say that the beach on the adult only area, I don't find it very nice at all. It's very small and not left to right, wide, small. It's a very wide beach, right? You can keep walking and find plenty of seating, but front to back, it's not very big. You're not terribly comfortable. I don't think the sand is that beautiful over there. In short, we are usually just the two of us. We don't go to Castaway with children, and we end up staying on the family beach almost all the time because I think it is so much nicer of a beach.
Yes, and I will say this is very much a personal preference. So I do know some people that as soon as they get off at Castaway, they immediately hop on the tram and go to Serenity Bay, and they love relaxing out there. Serenity Bay, we're going to talk about food here in just a second, but they are going to have their own food out there at the adult-only area as well.
Including one additional item that isn't available at the other family area for food, which we'll talk about.
So you can go out there, spend your whole day. If you get yourself a chair and you're happy with that chair spot and you enjoy the view out into the ocean, the view's still beautiful. It's still water and beautiful views. But again, it's just a personal preference. We just enjoy the family beach.
We love the family beach. It's beautiful.
Water slides, it's pretty. And then also we'll talk about activities and things later on. But yeah, so that's kind of the rundown of the beach and a little bit, I guess most of the stuff we need to talk about for the adult area.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing I'll add for the adult area, there is food out there. They also do have a bar out there right for them. So again, if you want to go out there, spend the whole day there, you easily could.
And I will say the bar seating out there, again, food and bar is our next topic, so we'll kind of lead into that here. But I think the bar seating at the adult area is really cool. It's on a raised patio. You overlook the water. So, if you're just interested in sitting up by the bar and stuff, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, I do agree. All right.
But with that, you want to kind of talk about food on the island?
Yeah, so on the island, you're going to have cookies is kind of what they're called. So you're going to have 3 separate dining locations. One of them we've already mentioned is out at Serenity Bay. So that's going to be only for adults out there. And then you're going to have 2 family dining. So you have cookies 1, cookies 2. And they're just going to be in 2 different areas. So depending on if you stay a little closer to where you get off the ship, there's one dining right up there, and then the second one's a little further down, more towards like the cabanas, the water slide part of the beach. And the food is going to be the same across all of them, minus or I guess with the one bonus item at the adult beach, which is steak.
Yeah, they have steak available at the adult dining, which they don't have at the family dining. But other than that, they're identical.
And the food is going to be barbecue. So you're going to have burgers, you're going to have hot dogs, you're going to have chicken, lots of really good sides. And so overall, honestly, I think
salads, you have like corn, you usually have mac salad, potato salad, stuff like that. They've got ice cream, soft serve ice cream you can get, tons of drinks, fruit. I think the food's pretty darn good considering you're on a private island in the middle of nowhere. I enjoy it. I look forward to the meal there on every cruise.
Yeah, I agree. So I think it's a perfect option. A lot of times we'll get people ask, like, do you have to pay for food? No. So just like all of the rotational dining, everything on the cruise ships included, this you just kind of go up, get as much as you want throughout the times that it's open.
Yeah, and I will say if you have an allergy, they accommodate that right at cookies. I forget if it's cookies 1 or 2 that can accommodate it, but ask your server and it's very easy. They will accommodate all that. They'll take your order on board before you leave the night before, and everything will be set up. So don't worry about that being on the island wondering, hey, can my allergies still be accommodated? Absolutely can.
Yeah. And then when it comes to bars, again, you have the one bar out at Serenity Bay if you're out in that area of the beach, but they do also have a lot of fun bars on Castaway as well. And one thing I really like about Castaway, and we'll talk about theming more, but the bars are going to be different. So you have kind of different setups. I think one of our favorite is going to be out on the pier. So there is going to be a pier at the family beach, and at the very end of the beach is going to have a heads-up bar, I believe it is.
Yeah, it's like called Pelican's Point or something like that, yeah.
And so that is going to be just great views. So if you're looking for like views of the ship or want a family picture of the ship, that is a great spot for it, and it has a really fun bar, amazing views, and so it's just like one of those like perfect ones. And there's also other bar options more near the family beach as well.
Yeah, and so what I really like about the bars is that they're all themed differently, right? So the first bar you come across is going to be entirely different than the one out on the point, which can be entirely different than the one on the adult beach. One's, I think, themed to a hangar. One, is themed to just like an island getaway. So I do like that the theming throughout the island is consistent to island life, but it is all different. Everything you go to is going to look slightly different and have different theming than the one you just came from.
Yeah, so that kind of ties into, like you were saying, the theming of the whole island. And so the theming for Castaway is just that kind of a rustic Disney island. So it's not like, I wouldn't say like a deserted island, but it definitely has like just the relaxed, chill island vibes. It's going to be very muted colors, so I think a lot of the buildings are going to kind of blend in with your surroundings. And I think it just is like a very cozy island. So it just is very relaxed vibes, very I don't know, it's happy chill
Yeah.
for it. So I think the theming they did really well. You will still have certain Disney touches that will take place on there. For example, there's going to be some buoys, I guess, that you have when you first walk onto the family beach, and they're going to be painted as like the different Disney characters. And so Mount Rushmore is what it's called. And so you're going to have definitely those Disney touches still throughout. But it is, I really like the kind of island theming they did.
Yeah, and so the last topic we're going to talk about is shopping and activities. So first start with shopping. There's a bunch of small little shops or places you can buy souvenirs and stuff on the island. There are some unique things. I'll kind of give away one of the activities. They have like some ornaments and things having to do with a 5K you can run on the island, things like that. But you will find traditional beach stuff you'd want to use if you're on the beach, sunscreen, towels, stuff to play in the sand. But they will also have unique items that you can only find on Castaway, which is, to me, the cool items on the island that you'd want to buy, because you can't get them anywhere else.
Yeah, I agree. It's worth popping in the shops, especially just to check out some of those like unique items, and everything from hats to t-shirts to towels to sun shirts to everything.
Christmas tree ornaments.
Yeah, to Christmas
everything.
tree ornaments. They do have a really good variety, even though the shops are pretty like small shops.
Yeah.
But let's talk about activities.
Yeah, so I already mentioned the 5K, and what that is, it's a free activity on the island. You can go check in at the bike rental place. You can look on the map to where that is, but it's going to be over by the tram to the adults area. And like I said, it's a free 5K you can run kind of on the honor system. When you complete it, you can come back and you can get a free Run Disney style medal, although this is going to be a plastic one because, again, you're not paying anything for it. But it is a cool experience. You don't get to do it anywhere else, and on the island you can go kind of through the trails, through the back area, and complete a 5K.
Yeah, it is a really fun experience. So I've done it once before. It definitely can get hot, so if you're looking to do that, I would recommend doing it kind of first thing, and then depending what time of year you're going, and then jump right in the water to cool off. And it works great. But that's definitely a good perk. I'd say for me, my favorite thing about Castaway is the snorkeling. And it's not necessarily just there. You will see like some fish and some other things, but at Castaway they have kind of sunken treasures, I'll call them, where you can kind of swim around and find them. They're going to be identified with buoys. You can ask a cast member, and they're happy to kind of point you in the right direction. It is a pretty good swim. So if you haven't swam in a while, you might be in for a workout, but it's worth it. So they have, like, for example, Prince Eric from The Little Mermaid. His statue from the movie is going to be down there, so you can kind of swip around and find all of those.
A few things to add about snorkeling. One is whether or not you can swim or not that important, because life jackets are required and they provide them. So they're free of charge. You will need to grab one before you go snorkeling. What is not free of charge is if you want to use Disney's flippers, or if you want to use Disney's snorkeling gear. So you can bring your own, and that's fine. You don't need flippers. You can just bring your own cheap snorkeling gear from Amazon if you want. That'll work. But yeah, those are a charge if you don't want to bring your own.
Yeah, we usually bring our own snorkel gear, but again, personal preference. If you do want to get it, you can rent it ahead of time, or you can usually just walk right up to the counter and be like, hey, can we rent some snorkel gear? And they have it right there for you as well. So it's very convenient, even if you want to do it kind of last minute.
Yeah.
Another one of the paid experiences that I think is one of my favorite as well is they do have a stingray encounter. So it's going to be where you could feed the stingrays, learn about them, learn about a lot of, they shared so many facts, and then just have kind of an up and close experience with them. So if you're looking for something like that, that is available. They do also have a bunch of other paid opportunities, such as a nature trail hike with kayaking and a few other things that you can sign up for.
Yeah, you can parasail, weather dependent, things like that. So there are a lot of activities, especially if you're willing to pay. One of the most popular paid, I don't know if it's activities or not, would be the cabanas. Those typically sell out very early on in the booking process, so either at the concierge level or at the highest tier of sailing. But people love the cabanas. It's just a private way to have some peace and quiet on the island, to have your own little space to come back to, shade, seating, all of that.
And then one other, I guess, activity I'll say that is not paid, an included activity, is going to be that there's characters. So if you're wanting to meet characters, there's plenty of them on Castaway. Just make sure you refer to your app. So it will list in your app the times and locations for where those characters are. If you're over there and you're not sure, you're not seeing it, you can always check with a cast member. I love meeting characters, so for me, this is a nice benefit that they have on. It's going to happen on both islands, but definitely always welcome a fun picture with Mickey in front of the beach.
Yeah, so I think that covers most of the points we wanted to on Castaway.
Yeah, so want to move over to Lookout, and we'll talk about the same categories, but we'll also highlight some of the differences that you can expect on Lookout as opposed to Castaway.
Yeah, so we can move on over, and we will start with convenience.
Yeah, so with Lookout, this is going to be not just Disney's island, so you will see some other ships maybe in the distance. You're going to have Disney be docked a little further back because they conserved some of the coral that's happening there. However, the downside of that is going to be that you start off by getting off the ship and having a decently long walk down a pier. I want to say, how long do you think it is? Maybe
probably 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'd say 10 to 15 minutes.
It's pretty long.
And it is the biggest thing I'd say for it. We don't mind a walk, that's totally fine, but it is going to be not shaded. So if you have a hat, I would recommend it.
Yeah, so I'll just be honest, it's not a convenient walk in any way. I mean, it's hot, it's not pretty. You're walking on a concrete path for 15 minutes straight to get to land. And as Sarah said, it's in direct sun, so there's no shade or anything like that. I will say there are golf carts that will take you, but they're limited, and I think they're probably limited in hoping that it's only going to be those people who have mobility issues or actually need a golf cart. They probably frown upon just, you taking one because you didn't want to walk. But there are things like strollers to help people who have little kids, or maybe a lot of stuff you can just grab as you go. But yeah, once you get that 15-minute walk in, you then get to hop on a tram for probably another 10 or 12 minutes.
Yeah, I would say for me, like, the biggest downside of Lookout is the process it takes to get to the park. I'm not as necessarily as negative as Jeff when it comes to it, because I'm like, it's fine, it's a walk, it's fine, it's a shuttle. But I do agree that, especially when you're comparing it to Castaway, which is so easy, and it's such a nice walk along the water, and it has some trees and shade and all of that, I do think that definitely is a big negative when it comes to the convenience of getting to Lookout. Once you go to Lookout and you get over to the main area, so you do the walk, you take the tram, you get over, once you're there, Beautiful. We'll talk about all the benefits. Well, but you're also going to stay there all day. You don't want to do this back and forth thing. Whereas on Castaway, if you forgot something on the ship, it'd be a bummer, and I wouldn't want to have to go back. But it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Here, it'd be like, okay, all right, here we go. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the beach. So
I think it's a absolutely perfect beach. Once you get there, once you've made the trek there, it's phenomenal. I have nothing but positive things to say about the beach there. It's probably the most beautiful beach I've ever been to.
Agreed. Yeah, it is that powder. It actually has a pink tint to it because of some of the shells that are in it. But
the water is just
beautiful.
Like turquoise blue.
Yeah.
It's stunningly beautiful once you get to the beach.
If you're a beach person, if you want to swim, if you want to lay on the beach, if you want to relax on the beach, you couldn't hope for much better. Castaway is still very nice, don't get us wrong, but it's not anything like what you have at Lookout. Lookouts is a 10 out of 10.
And it's huge. So there's a lot of area where there's seats. But then if you want to be in a quieter area, you want to play in the water away from other people, you can just keep continuing on down and keep moving further and further away from the crowds, and you can find some very quiet areas, which is unbelievably nice as well.
Agreed. And they do have plenty of umbrellas and sun seats as well. Also, not only right on the beach, but also if you go kind of up over the dunes, they'll also have seating up there, so if you'd rather kind of go to the splash pad areas or the kids play area, there's plenty of seats around everywhere. So
also those raised up ones are much quieter, because most people are down by the water. So if you want to read a book and you don't care if you're on the water, go back 20 feet, sit in one of those seats, and it's going to be quiet, secluded, very pleasant.
Agreed. Yeah. So I think all of that is a huge benefit. I love that aspect of Lookout.
Yeah.
All right, and so on to the adult area.
Yeah, so the adult area here is very conveniently located relative to what it would be like on Castaway. There is no tram. It's maybe a 5-minute walk, maybe 10 minutes, depending where you are coming from on that family beach, but it's very close by. You're really separated by a set of cabanas, and that's it, but it is still secluded enough. It's quiet enough. You are away from the family area if that's what you want. And again, it's very nice. It's very easy to get to. It's the exact same beach. So unlike at Castaway, where you're on the same island, but you're on a separate beach area, and it's a very different beach. This is the exact same setup. It's beautiful. The sand's the same. The water's the same. It's a pleasure to be there.
I agree. And I do think because you have all of that space, it feels very easy to get a seat, very easy to have kind of your own space swimming. So I do think the adult area is great. And then also in the adult only area, we're going to talk next about kind of the food and bars. So let's, I guess, first touch on it with it here in the adult only area. You do, just like at Castaway, have your own bar right in the adult only area. You do also have a food location right in the adult only area. So exactly kind of same setup there, where if you, once you get to the adult only area, if you don't want to leave and go explore the other stuff, you don't have to. Like, everything you want or could want is going to be right there ready for you.
Yeah. And unlike Castaway, if you are, let's say you're, an adult and you're over in the family area, the food here is identical. So you're not missing out on any single item or anything like that. They're 100% the same, family and adult dining. So again, eat wherever you want.
Yeah, so I guess when it comes to the overall food, it's going to be called True True, and similar to what you have at Castaway, you'll have the one dining over in the adult area, and then there'll be two separate dinings that you have at the family beach. So get similar to True 1, True 2. And they are going to have slightly different food though than we have at Castaway.
Yeah, I think they have a wider variety here, more unique food. They have all kinds. They have barbecue, they have, I believe, seafood, they have pastas, they have your burgers, they have like paella types, rice dishes or paella. It's a huge variety. However, that variety does come with what I think is kind of an inconvenience, and that is that each of these different styles of food has its own line. Whereas on Castaway, you go through one line, you pass all the available foods, you pick it up as you go, so you're kind of passing through everything. One time through the line, you've got all the food you want. Here on Lighthouse, you do have to hop in a line, maybe you want your burger here, hop in another line, maybe you want your paella here, hop in another line, maybe you want your fruit here. So depending on how many people are in a different line, getting food here can take a little while, but it's worth it. The food, I think, is awesome on this island.
Yeah, the food is very good. And yeah, so you can think of kind of Castaway as like just a one long buffet line. Here you have almost like stations. So where you go to like one window and they have certain things, one window they have other things. I do think it's worthwhile to just take a peek at the menu beforehand and kind of get an idea maybe what kind of things you want. Because like we might have Jeff run over and be like, hey, can you grab us hot dogs and chicken at that window? I'll go over here and grab us these couple of things. Yep. So I think if you have a little bit of a plan going in to Lookout when it comes to food, it makes it a lot easier as opposed to Castaway. You just kind of walk through looking at whatever you want.
Yeah, but overall, I think the food here actually is better than Castaway's. I love it. I think the variety is what I love. No matter what you like, you can find something here, and it's really well done. Yeah,
and now the bars. So that touches on all the food stuff. When it comes to the bars, there are lots of bars located throughout. So again, you have a bar right in the adult-only area, and then throughout all of the family beach area, you do have a bunch of bars as well. However, they're all going to be pretty much the same.
Yeah, whereas on Castaway, everything is uniquely themed. Maybe they have like, an underlying theme that ties them all together. Here, that's not the case. They're all identical, pretty much, which is fine. They're nicely themed, but I personally kind of like where I can go to a different bar, and there's a reason to go to a different bar, and that reason is to check out a new theme, to see, what does it look like, how does it feel. Here, if you've been to one bar, you've been to all the bars.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like for the bars here, they were more of, let's just give a spot where they can get a drink and go, not so much like hang out. So I feel like Castaway, it's more of you get a drink and you want to sit and kind of take it in. Here, it's more like maybe you'll sit and grab a drink and hang out for a bit, but I think it's more like to go.
Yeah.
One thing I should also say too, because we're talking about food and bars that is unique at Lookout, is they do also, right when you get off your walk before the tram, they have a coffee hut, which they don't have at Castaway. So if you're a coffee person like us, I actually love that they have the iced coffees, and some of them are going to be like local specialties. So I do think that is another kind of perk if you're going to Lookout and you enjoy coffee. It's definitely worth stopping at.
They also have a little stand that sells smoothies and stuff, and they're excellent. So yeah, there's some unique items, some unique availability that you won't find on Castaway here as well.
Yeah.
So with that, kind of talk about shopping and then activities.
First, you want to do overall theming?
Sure.
So overall theming, we kind of already touched on it with the bars. But I will just say, for me, when I'm walking around Lookout, it's going to have those very vibrant, bright colors that you might see with the Caribbean, as opposed to Castaway, which is going to be the more subtle, rustic island thing. So I think for Lookout, it's such a new location for Disney, so I think maybe as more of the greenery grows in and all of that, it will seem a little bit more lush and full. But I think for now, because it's still in its early years, it definitely is very vibrant, very bright. Not a bad thing. It's just going to be, again, a very different style of theming when it comes there. And I think for right now with me, it doesn't have as much of that like charm. It's still very nice and everything, but it doesn't have the same charm to me as it does you get on Castaway.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
All right, and now on to the shopping and activities.
Yeah, so shopping, that's an easy one. It's very similar setup to Castaway in terms of what the merchandise is. You can get your traditional beach stuff, the stuff you might want to use while you're there. You can also get some Disney Cruise Line merch, but I think the real reason you're shopping while you're at the island is for the island-specific merch. So you can get some Lookout merchandise here that you can't find anywhere else. Similar stuff, you can get, beachwear that's unique to it. You can get magnets, pins, you can get Christmas ornaments, you can get t-shirts, things like that. So I think the merchandise is really cool. I do like to have one line which has kind of like a Bohemian flair to all the different characters. So you don't have a picture of the character, the name of the character, but their colors and some designs that allude to who the character is. And I think that's a really cool line of merchandise. So I love it. I think it's very well done. It's unique and certainly worth checking out.
Yeah, and then they do have the shop, which is going to highlight local kind of souvenirs as well. They do have a little bit of that in Castaway as well with some of the shops as you walk along the family beach. But if you're looking for something more of a local souvenir, not specifically Disney necessarily, that's also available.
Yeah, so with that, we can kind of talk about activities and start out with the same one they had on Castaway, which is biking. So you can grab a bike and go for a ride. They do have a bunch of character stuff, so you can dance with characters, play with characters, things like that. There's something called Junk Canoe, which you want to talk about?
Sure. So I think when it comes to like some of the differences that you're going to find at Lighthouse, Lookout Cay, as opposed to Castaway. So here they're going to focus a lot more on Bohemian culture. So you have the Goombay Cultural Center, and here they're going to do like classes where you can learn about the instruments that are played during Junk Canoe and kind of the history of it. They're going to have the whole Junk Canoe parade, which is like a really lively parade with dancing and musicians, and some characters will show up to the parade. So I think here they kind of emphasize more a lot the cultural aspect, which I appreciate, and I also enjoy like learning and doing the things. I'm not I'll sit on the beach only the whole time. I like having the things to do. So to me, like having the workshops, having the Junk Canoe are definitely benefits, and they're free. Those are free activities for you to do during your stay on the island. Don't have to sign up ahead of time. You can just kind of show up, check the times in the app, and take part in them.
Yeah, and I think like for the Junk Canoe one specifically, they did a great job incorporating Bohemian traditions, things like that, while also having the Disney characters involved. So that makes it really family friendly. Maybe a young kid might not be interested in the cultural aspect, but they're going to enjoy it because of the characters there dancing and celebrating with all of the other things going on. So I think they did a really good job kind of tying the Disney into the cultural side of things.
Yeah, and one other thing too, I'm just going to touch on for the character side is, we didn't mention this on Castaway, but on Castaway and Lookout, they do have spaces dedicated to kids. So similar to kind of the kids clubs that you'll have on the ship, they have spaces where you can bring the kids on the islands, kind of check them in. They do also have activities and activity areas for kids and families. And on Lookout, when you're there, there is a building where you're going to have characters. They'll come out, and it's definitely geared towards kids, but on Lookout, it's also adults are welcomed as well. And they'll do things like limbo or dancing with the characters. And so I know we're, again, talking about a lot of the adult stuff, but each island does definitely have activities and things specifically geared towards the kids, such as splash areas or different kids-type focused items there as well.
Yeah, and so with that, we can kind of talk about some of the paid offerings. I guess the first one would be cabanas as well. Here on Lookout, they do have two very distinct sections of cabanas. One is going to be that area I mentioned briefly that separates the family beach from the adult-only area, and this can be a small section of cabanas right there. And then I think the section of cabanas you probably want is going to be right after you get off of that pier, the long walk before you hop on a tram. There is going to be a section of cabanas right there on their own private beach. They do have their own private dining and restrooms and everything there as well, but it overlooks the boat. It's a very unique area, and those are the cabanas that personally I think I would rather have. I believe those are the family cabanas though. which is fine. I mean, there's not going to be many families there, children there. If you are an adult looking for a quiet area, it's still pretty quiet. There's, I don't know the number, but I'd have to guess a dozen to 20 cabanas at most. And you cannot go to that beach if you're not staying at a cabana.
Yeah. So I definitely think the cabanas are a big perk. There are going to be a bunch of other paid activities. So you can see these on the Disney website or the Disney app ahead of time. But I think the big difference here is that this island is not just Disney. It's a much bigger island. There's people who live on it year round outside of the Disney location. And so because of that, the variety and number of excursions, so port excursions that you have is much bigger. So you're gonna have boats that take you off and take you to separate snorkeling activities. You're gonna have paid excursions to caves. So there's a lot of different options when it comes to Lookout. If it's your first time visiting, again, do what works best for your family, but I think on Lookout just by itself there's plenty to do. But if you're not beach people and you're like, no, we want an excursion, you're gonna have plenty to pick from when it comes to Lookout.
Yeah, there's tons to do, but as Sarah said, personally, my recommendation would be enjoy that beach. It's beautiful. The first time you're there, go enjoy it. Go check out the characters, the cultural things, enjoy the beach, grab some good food, and just explore that area. You don't really need to probably do a paid excursion, at least that first time there, but there are a lot to do if you're interested.
Yeah, one last thing I will mention that there is to do on Lookout is they do have a nature walk that is free to do. So if you want to learn more about nature, it has kind of signs. You can walk along it. There's a lighthouse you can get to eventually. So again, they do still have, even though I say it's a shared island, you feel like you're alone. Like it's very private. There's lots of separate space. And so it's Disney's area. Like it is still a very private area of the island. And there's plenty of things, even with doing the nature walk where you walk a decent ways, you're still very much like in your own little space that Disney has created.
Yeah. So I think that's a pretty good summary of Castaway and Lookout, the two island locations that you can visit on a Disney cruise in the Caribbean.
And we love both of them for different reasons. So I think the best option is pick a cruise that does them both. There's a few out there that do the double dip, but really you can't go wrong.
Yeah, you really can't. Yeah. Both islands are awesome. They both have the things on them that make them special and unique and worth visiting, and you really can't go wrong.
Yeah, so thanks so much for watching. If you have been to either of these islands, both these islands, share all of your thoughts with us down below. We'd love to hear them, but thank you all.
Thanks.